cooking. Yes, indeed, we're cooking. You and me, we're cooking. Cooking with Chef D.
Why is it better to make your own soup? One, you know, we all go out to eat a lot. We all go to fast food places. We all get a lot of extra salt that we don't need. We do need some salt, but we don't need the salt that we're always getting. So then when you make your own soup, you can actually double check the seasonings and maybe use some different seasonings. Add some heat to it, you know, add some lemon juice and then add some different vegetables, or you make your own beef barley soup with some, like using the bones. It's fantastic. It's rich, it's really good for you. It's good for your innards and that. So, you know, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And when you're making it, when it's boiling and slow simmer on your stove, then you can be doing other things, you know, and the other great thing is you can put it in, you know, you can buy those Ziploc containers and you can put them in Ziploc containers, take it out, and whether you pop it in a microwave or even pop it out and warm it up in a pan, it works really nicely. We showed you how to make the stock with the bones, with the chicken, with the beef, and then also the vegetable stock. So why don't we make some soups? And the first soup that we're going to make today is a classic soup. It's been around forever. You probably remember, you know, going to your grandmother's house. I definitely do. And the great thing is when you're using the bone stocks, you're getting the marrow and the gelatin and all that. That's really good for your stomach health as well. So we're going to get started here. I put a little bit of olive oil in my pot, just a touch. You know, in our fat-free diets and, you know, lowering our fat intake, we sometimes get away from actually having that fat that's supposed to, that good fat that's supposed to be in our food for us. So we've got our pan nice and warm. I'm going to add in 2 pounds of the Nutrifarms stewing beef. And we're just going to gently brown that off. That's why you want your pan to be hot. Give that a little bit. And then I'm going to chop up 2 onions. Again, they can be any kind of onion that you want. It can be a shallot, it could be a Spanish onion, it could be a white onion. It could even be a red onion for this beef barley. So in that goes, we're just, again, nice quick chop. And there's no wrong there is no wrong ingredient for this soup. So our onions are going to go in. Stir those in. We're going to add some red peppers, 1 whole red pepper, diced up nice and fine, or it could be chunky. I have 1 stalk of celery. That's all I had in the fridge, so that's what it's getting. We're using 2 carrots, about half a turnip. Stir that all together. Then we're going to add in about half a jar of the strained tomatoes. Now, you know, when I was working in the restaurants and that, my one prep cook always loved when we made beef barley soup, he would add ketchup to it instead of tomato. Just a little bit of ketchup in it. If that works, go for it. Stir it all in. And the meat is just gently browned. And then we're going to take our beef broth. And I have 2 liters of that. Put that all together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up to a gentle boil. Then we're going to turn down and let it simmer for about 1.5 hours. If you're using a pressure cooker for this, you want to bring it, you know, up to the steam, the correct amount, and then turn it down. In 1/2 hour, you have some amazing beef barley. And the last is the barley. Now we're putting in probably about just a little bit less than a quarter cup of barley, because any more than that, you know it's going to expand, it's going to take on the moisture. So you don't want to add any more than that. It'll just be nice, really, okay, rib sticking, beautiful comfort soup. That's it. That's how you make beef barley.
Cooking with Chef D.
So for our second soup today, we're going to make a Thai-inspired soup. This isn't a true Thai recipe, it's kind of Chef-D-ized. We're going to use our vegetable stock, we're going to use a whole bunch of different peppers. Again, just getting it all together and giving it some heat with some cayenne, and away we go. So in our pot, we're going to take a selection of peppers and onions, and then some red peppers as well. We're going to use some leeks that I've already cut up and just nice and fine. Give that a quick stir. We're just going to sweat this down just a wee little bit. And this is what's so great. There's sometimes, you know, frozen vegetables are not a bad thing, especially when you're making soups. You can add them, they have great flavor. Again, they're picked at the peak of freshness. So lots of vitamins and minerals that we don't normally get in, especially if we're in the off seasons. I'm gonna add in 2 cloves of garlic from our good friends at TJ's. About 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And then what we're going to do is take the juice of 3 limes, add that in. And you know, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but if you find them at your local specialty store, you could add some kefir lime leaves in. It's going to give you some amazing flavor, and you're not going to have to put the lime juice in. But not always can you find that, so I thought, why don't we use fresh limes? So 3 of those go in. Give it a quick stir. And this soup is really great because of the heat and all the vegetables in it. And then of course the vegetable stock that we've made. And I don't know if you can see this, but these, again, I've made 2 different batches, so you have just 2 different colors with the different kinds of vegetables I use. I use a little bit more carrots in this one. And that goes. And if you're looking for any kind of like 1-liter containers like this, sometimes your local food service store has them, and you can just use them. They're absolutely great. Reuse them all the time, put them through the dishwasher. It's fantastic. So we're going to stir that together. We're going to bring that up to just a quick boil. And I mean quick, like in 15 minutes you can have this and ready to go. And we're going to add in 1 can of coconut milk. When it comes to coconut milk, please, you know, I know everybody, there's different budgets out there, but if you can, pay a little bit extra because you're actually going to get the coconut pulp instead of water in it. So you can just see that this is really nice and thick. And we'll stir that in. And like I say, in about 15 minutes, we're going to have some amazing, great tasting pepper soup. The great thing about soup is it's great all year round. And you know, there's so many different varieties, of course there is. I've just chosen some of my favorites, and this is one of them. So I'm warming up my pan because we want to saute off some onions and garlic, and then of course we're going to add some mushrooms because we're going to make a mushroom soup. So put our onions in. And what I've done here is cut up 2 onions, and these are Spanish onions, but you know, if you have white onions or a different kind, just go for it, or the whites of leeks, you know, away you go. And we're just going to warm these up, get them sauteing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in our garlic. And I've chopped up, again, our good friends at TJ's, you all know from the last year's series, he grows amazing garlic, and so we're going to add in 2 cloves of garlic, If you want more garlic, please add more. I'm going to saute this off. And then what we're going to do is I have some herbs de Provence, which are a little bit of lavender, rosemary, thyme, and you can just see they're all great. And we're going to add these in very shortly because you want the oils of the dried herbs to come out, which is going to give it some more amazing flavor. And what we're just doing is waiting to our onions kind of become translucent. I'm going to add in our herbs. Now, your whole kitchen is going to smell absolutely amazing. Some of that sage, some of the thyme, you get the lavender coming out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in our mushrooms. And these are just cremini mushrooms, so there's about 2.5 cups of cremini mushrooms. And cremini mushrooms are just a baby portobellos. Again, you can go any way you like with this. If you like, maybe your family's not huge on mushrooms, start them off with the button mushrooms, and then go into the oyster, go into the shiitake, and then of course there's some great, growers around the region. Backyard Fungi is a great grower of amazing mushrooms. We've used him many times and he has some different varieties. Absolutely incredible. So then what we're going to do is just let this sweat off and reduce down. You want the mushrooms to kind of bring out the moisture of the mushrooms and then to get the earthiness and sweetness out. That's why we're sauteing it before we put it into our pot. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to add in our homemade chicken stock, which you saw how we made this. So we're going to add in, this is 1 liter. And then we have some white wine. We've added our 1 liter of chicken stock. I'm going to add in about half a bottle. And then again, if you don't want the alcohol in it, just remember it will boil away. You can always add some non-alcoholic wine or sherry. It will be just as great. Get this going. And just start seeing now, our onions are becoming translucent. We have some amazing flavor with all the herbs that are in there. And then we have some celery root. And celery root is going to add that other layer of flavor. It's not the root of celery, it's an actual separate vegetable. Now, there's no extra starch in this. That's not what I'm going to say in just a second. But adding this added another layer of flavor. And also, years ago, we used to, maybe make a roux and add that in. And so now that with a lot of the flour sensitivities, I like using the celery root. Gives us another layer of flavor, like I mentioned, and also to kind of helps thicken the soup up by giving it some extra body. So we're going to put our celery root in. And that's, again, probably about 2 cups of celery root. We're going to add 1 more liter of chicken stock. Or you could use vegetable stock for this. Or you can add a combination of beef and vegetable stock. Be crazy. Live outside the box. It's always great. So then what we're going to do is you can just start seeing now is our onions are really nice and translucent. Our mushrooms are kind of shrinking down, taking a little bit of that moisture out. We've got some great flavor going on. With the herbs and that, we're going to turn this off. We're going to add this to our soup. We're going to bring this up to a gentle boil and then let it, just before it kind of, ripples the water, we're going to let it cook for about 45 minutes. So the second soup that we're making is a chorizo pepper soup using amber beer. Now, you can even take this soup and make it into a goulash, which is thicker, almost like a stew. Wherever you want to go with it, it's great. Again, I know I say that a lot, but recipes are like road maps. There's 4 different ways to get the end result, and you can have fun getting there. So we got our pan. We're warming up our pan. I have some amazing new chorizo from Pillars. It's the new charcuterie. It's absolutely fantastic. It's got some great spice, and again, it's got a nice fat in it. So we're going to add that into our pan. Now this is about 2 cups of chorizo. We're going to add about 1 cup of onion and the garlic. And you notice that we're cooking the garlic with other vegetables and meats, because if you try and fry the garlic sometimes just by itself, you tend to burn it. And there's a lot of things worse than burnt garlic, but it doesn't really add to the flavor at all. So we're going to saute this off. Again, just letting all the flavors come out. Now, because the meat has some salt in it, I'm not going to add any salt until the end, and then just kind of taste it and kind of go from there. So, saute this down. Oh yeah. And then we have some peppers, carrots, and celery. But if you wanted to add some cabbage to this, you could add some red or green cabbage. You know, the world's your oyster on this, and away you go. So next, we're going to start with all our hard vegetables first. So then our carrots, we have 2 cups of carrots and 2 cups of celery. And that goes. Saute that all off, just until it starts to become a little bit translucent. Add in our peppers. And you see, it's all these vegetables. We're going to cook them down a little bit, and then we're going to add in our beer and tomatoes. As you can see, the moisture from the vegetables that are coming out of the vegetables, it's reduced down a fair bit to almost half, and that's kind of what we're looking for. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in some Waterloo Amber, a whole can. Okay, well, maybe not a whole can. You know, my throat's getting a little dry today, so, you know, cheers to you. Oh, that's good. And that goes. We're going to add a little bit of dried onion and dried garlic, about a teaspoon of each. And what that just does is, as it cooks out, it reconstitutes and gives it more flavor. So again, just playing on that layer of flavors. And then these, I stumbled upon these tomatoes at my local grocery store, and I've really fallen in love with them. Italian tomatoes, they're cut up nice and fine, absolutely great flavor. So we're going to add in about a half a can. Stir that in. Oh yeah. Lots of great things happening here. Did I mention smell-o-vision? My producer and I, we got to work on that smell-o-vision thing. And now we're going to add 1 liter of chicken stock. He is really laughing behind the scenes. Anyway, so we're going to put this in. Again, we're going to simmer this for about 45 minutes to an hour for all those flavors to meld together, and it'll be absolutely perfect. So our mushroom soup, again, as I mentioned earlier, is you just want, like, you can see that just gentle boil that's happening here. That's what we've been looking for. It's now cooked off for about 35 minutes, probably about 40 minutes to be quite honest. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some mascarpone cheese. And for those of you who've been following me for the last 7 years, you know how much I love this cheese. And it's really great, you know, not only can you use it in desserts and that, but it also makes, instead of using cream in your soups, you can add mascarpone cheese in. So we're going to add in about half a container, about 1 cup of mascarpone cheese. Let's just stir that in. Grab our handy dandy hand mixer. Now, you can puree it off as smooth or as chunky as you like. So again, this will take about 1.5 minutes. This is where you turn your music up really loud. And give that a little try. Oh, it smells amazing. Tastes even better. Perfect soup. Now you can, again, cook it up a week in advance, freeze it, put it in the refrigerator. It's going to last about 3 days in your refrigerator. And don't forget, after you cook it 24 hours later, all those flavors have melded together and taste amazing. So there's an easy mushroom soup Again, using some mascarpone cheese, you can change up the mushrooms to wherever you want to go with it, and it's fantastic. So let's go back over to our chorizo, amber beer, and a whole bunch of vegetable soup. This does truly have everything but the kitchen sink in it. Again, it's been simmering away for about 45 minutes. Absolutely smells fantastic in here. You get the spiciness of the chorizo coming out, a little bit of smoke, and now we're just going to taste it. A little bit of heat of the chorizo comes in right at the end. Fantastic. So now we're going to take a combination of chicken stock and vegetable stock and make a potato leek soup. Now, you know, we had some guests over. I know it's hard to stretch that, you know, we'd have guests over here at the studio kitchen, but we did, and we had some garlic mashed potatoes, and I left the skins on, which is all good. So we're going to add in our chicken stock first. And then we're going to add in our vegetable stock. So 2 liters. You could add some white wine at this point. You could add some nutmeg at this point. Wherever you want to take this is good to go. And then we're going to add in 3 cloves of garlic. And as I mentioned before, we got this from our good friends at TJ's. And you all saw that episode that we were out there and seeing it grow. Again, local garlic, lots of flavor, lots of pungency to it. If you don't like as much pungency, you could roast the garlic off and it'd be good to go that way as well. So 3 cloves go into our broth. And then I have 2 onions that I've just roughly chopped. Sorry, I lied. It's 3 onions. And then they go. And then what we're going to do is add in our leeks. Yes, I do love using leeks. And again, you know, both this, again, from our good friends out at Gamox Farms. And, you know, year-round you can get that from them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring that up to a boil. And once that's boiling, we're going to add in our potatoes, and we're going to quickly puree it, add a little bit of mascarpone cheese, because you know how much I love that. And we're going to have a perfect tasting soup. And all that's going to take is about 20 minutes. Our onions and our leeks have become translucent, so I'm going to take this off our heat. Bring it over to my handy dandy little cutting board. It's great, protects everything. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we had some guests over and we wanted to use up some of the mashed potatoes that I had left. If not, you can just add in like regular potatoes, skin on, skin off, whatever you like. And then mention that, you know, we could add some mascarpone cheese, and we all know how much I love this. Or if you don't find mascarpone cheese at your grocery store, you can always add some flavored cream cheese. So we have like a herb and garlic. So I thought, why don't we do something different? We're gonna add in a little bit of cream cheese. Then take our hand blender. And again, we can puree it as smooth as you like, or you can leave a little bit of the leeks and onions to give it some more body. Okay, this smells really good. And there you have it. Now we're going to put it on low and just kind of let the potatoes meld in with the flavor of the cream cheese, and you have some amazing tasting soup. So now we have all of it done. It's ready to time to taste it. We'll taste the potato soup first.
Wow, that smells really good, Chef.
Surprise, Matt's here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt, but I've come a lot further than you, and these smells have gotten to me. Thank you, Chef D.
You're welcome.
Well, what's in that box?
Beef vegetable, but I'll give you some potato. Don't worry, Matt. Look at that. If you want to, you can turn them over halfway through the cooking process. We're not going to look at it for about 2 hours. The whole house is going to smell amazing. The meat's going to be tender. Hi.
Who's that?